Hey there, welcome to this Ocean Life podcast, episode number 92. I'm your host, Josh Peterson. In today's episode, I speak with a good friend and legend in the water, Pat Shaughnessy, a world-class big wave surfer and prone board paddler. Pat takes us through the past few years of focusing his summers on lifeguarding at Santa Cruz beaches and competing in both the Catalina Classic and Molokai to Oahu paddleboard races, with stories of dealing with the physical and mental challenges of those long distance events. Now, Pat takes us through his winters and the evolution of his surfing from competitive shortboarding in his early teens to following his sister Savannah to Mavericks for his first big wave introduction. We hear of Pat taking a cautious first few years at Mavericks before things clicking for him, stepping up his surfing to find his love for big waves and being invited to compete in the 3 recent Mavericks contests. Pat talks about his crew in the lineup, continued inspiration from his sister in big waves, no-leash days at Puerto Escondido, and spending time to help the next generation find their stoke for big waves. A lot of good stuff from a guy in the water, pushing it, whether it's lying down, paddling 32 miles, or standing up on a 32-footer. A lot of fun stuff here. So thanks for being here and supporting the podcast. Thanks also for minimizing our use of plastics, right? Hope you're getting in the water having some fun. Let's get into the ocean life of Pat Shaughnessy. So Pat, it's cool. Like it was been really fun preparing to chat with you because I know you personally.
Yeah. And
just had a great session with Tyler Conroy, a good friend of yours, your brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law, yeah.
You Maverick buddy surfing. So it was really cool to speak with you after I chatted with him. I followed with him yesterday. We talked a little bit. But as I was thinking about, and I have my notes and everything, thinking about you, it was like, first thing that pops out, I was like, okay, it's Mavericks and winter. And winters are a big thing for you. But then I was just thinking, dude, like, summers are also a big thing for you, which is pretty rad, man. Like, you balance the year out pretty gnarly. Like, summers being paddling, man.
Yeah.
And you just finished up Catalina Classic, a long distance paddle. You finished about a month after Molokai to Oahu, another long distance paddle. So let's start with Catalina, man.
Okay.
How'd that go for you? What was the race like? How's the course?
The race went all right. It's a long race, and it was a long season training for Molokai, and then doing that and getting kind of beat up, and then it's 4 weeks feels really short after. Dude. It's a long time, but it feels short. So by the time we got there, it was kind of ready, but hadn't paddled all that much.
Because you were tired or just recovering from Molokai, or
the motivation's pretty low.
Yeah,
after Molokai.
Totally, you don't want to see your paddleboard for a while.
Yeah, you got to force yourself just to do a few. You're not really going to get in better or worse shape, but just to loosen up a little bit.
Right.
So the course is kind of straightforward. It's just straight line.
Yeah.
It was glassy. It was overcast for the start, which is like the 2 best conditions you have.
Right.
It was almost record breaking.
Yeah.
For max first, almost broke the records. The conditions were good. I think if the tide was going the other way, the tide was flowing out when we got to Palos Verdes Point. If it was going in,
yep,
he probably got it.
You think so?
Yeah.
And you had a sick time, 5 hours 34 minutes.
Yeah.
Dude, is that your best time you've had?
I actually kind of regressed. Last year I got 5:26 or something.
Last year last year. So this year being 2019. So 2018. Yeah. Was that horrific year?
No.
Okay.
That was like 5 years ago now.
Okay.
That was the first time. That was the first time I did it. Yes. This was my 5th time flying.
Horrible. God, yeah. 5 times now. Gee. So how does this year compare to like years past in terms of not so much the conditions on the course, but like you do anything multiple times, you start getting better at it, especially these races. Logistics, just hydration, understanding the course, knowing when to go hard, knowing what to expect from the water. Like, how was it after 5 years of Catalina?
It was good. I mean, my favorite part of the race is the first, couple miles. You start at 6 a.m. It's getting to be, the sun's still down. You're lined up with 105 people, and you're basically looking for holes in hundreds of yachts and sailboats
to get through that first part.
Just get through. So everyone kind of takes off way too hard. It's really sprinting and looking for holes and shooting through the boats. And that's where the line of people kind of starts, it's tough because you just woke up at 4 to get some food down, and then you start sprinting. The first few miles go by really fast. Not in not a full lose your whole stomach way, but like miles 3 and 7, I puked at part of breakfast. And
really? Because you're so just amped up and
the whole thing's weird. Getting up that early and just full sprint at 6 a.m.
Right, that is,
And then as the pack spreads this year, I just kind of kept losing people. The pace was so fast. I think I was doing hovering around or a little over 9.5 minute miles.
Wow.
And just losing sight of the front guys. Yeah. And then just kind of ended up alone, which is cool in a way because you can kind of, it was so nice out. You can kind of just be with your crew on the boat. I was with really good Kyla, my girlfriend.
Yep.
Donnie Souther, I've done it with for the 4th time now as the captain. And a lady named Cam and her boyfriend John. So it was cool just to be out there with them. But it's hard to keep your pace up when you're not next to someone else.
Right. Who's helping you keep it up? Either who's behind you, who's pushing you, threatening you, or somebody who's right in front of you who you want to try to catch.
Yeah. So it was kind of just look at the watch, try and get a pace and settle into it. And it was, 5 hours is a long time. So,
yeah, dude, for sure. So after 5 years, what I'm curious about is you start training for your summer paddle events, Molokai and Catalina, kind of April-ish, and really start, you kind of get ready, right? Because then we have the downwinder here, which is a legit one, and that's kind of from there you're pretty much fully focused. But you hit Molokai and you're done, and that's a taxing event, and then you don't really want to look at your paddleboard for a couple weeks, and but you have to get on it a few times, force yourself, like you said, to do Catalina. So how do you kind of, after 5 years of doing that, Molokai and then Catalina, 30 days apart, give or take, how do you keep yourself mentally just in the game and willing to do that?
I mean, I like doing Catalina. The crew down there reminds me a lot of you guys, the Ghost Riders. It's a cool group of people. Cool. It's the race, there's a lot of history. It's super competitive for the top few people.
Yep.
And then, a lot of the people are just kind of, they do it every year. They do it because they love doing it. So it's definitely wanted to do that. And this is only the 2nd time I've done both. So I did Molokai twice.
Okay.
So it felt pretty new to do both of them in a row. It was a little bit, you're kind of burnt out after that.
Yeah.
Not before Catalina, but after it was.
Right.
You're pretty paddled out by the end.
Right.
You're ready to go surfing.
Yeah, totally. You're hey, get this big, giant, long log away from me. Give me my 6.0. So Catalina is it's more flat water-ish most of the time. Sometimes it can be bumpy and weird, but it's long distance-wise, comparable to Molokai to Oahu.
Yeah.
But it's very different. So then take us to Molokai to Oahu this year in that course, which was also insanely good for most people. Some people had some really weird problems at the end. But take us through that for you this year doing Molokai.
Yeah, the conditions were really good. It was record-breaking for, I don't know how many, I know it was for prone, unlimited, and stock. I don't remember all the records, but the conditions were good.
Really?
It was pretty cool. I felt lucky to be there when the conditions were that good. This is the 2nd time I did it, and I really prepared a lot in terms of just paddling a lot beforehand and doing workouts. And we didn't really get that much wind this summer. The downwinder was on,
it was horrific. Way.
June was that weird glassy west wind. So I did a lot of flat water paddling, not that many downwinders.
Right. So did you feel out of, not shape, but kind of off? Did you feel tuned in to the bump you were getting on Molokai, even though you didn't get a lot here in Santa Cruz before? It's
a little different there because the wind's going one way, and then the primary wind swell's kind of going at more of a north to south, and the smaller, you've been out there. It's kind of that classic, the wind bumps going one way.
Yep.
And the bigger bumps kind of going the other way. So it was a learning curve. I guess that's the way to put it. Trying to figure it out in the beginning and middle of the channel, it's pretty, you can key into it.
Yeah.
Not as much as the top paddlers were, but got some good moments. And then towards the end, when it got sloshier, it was really, I struggled. It was really tough.
Yeah. So did you get caught in that weird wind at the very end?
Kind of. I saw people passing me they were putting in less effort. I think it was a combination of it was more of a technique thing, really. on that big of a board at an 18.3.
Oh,
I think
wow.
you just got to be knee paddling.
Yeah.
Just to get that acceleration.
Yeah.
Like quick acceleration. The stock guys and girls seem like they can get away with a little more on their belly.
Right.
But with that much board, it seems like you really need the powerful
dig.
stroke of that dig. So.
Yeah. So you did it this year, 2019. So you did not do it in 2018?
No, it was 2017.
17, okay. Because I remember when we were all there together, when I did the team with Josh Ryan, I remember you were there.
Yes.
That was your, okay.
That was fun.
Got it. For some reason, I thought you did last year too.
No.
Got it. So then comparing like your first year in 2017 to this year, 2019, like the first year for anybody is like a huge steep learning curve.
Yeah.
Because you don't really know anything about it until you do it. You know, you can hear stories, but until you actually go across that water and get your ass handed to you, mentally and physically, you don't know. But what did you take? Were you able to leverage any learnings or experiences from 2017 this year, whether it was logistics or hydration or a place to stay on the island? Because it all factors together into a big, giant, like, hassle.
Totally. Oh, you know, doing trade boards and everything. It's crazy. Yeah, definitely. I think what you eat and drink and how often and all that stuff like makes a huge difference. Just downwinding in general. The first time I did it, like the whole paddle thing was pretty new, and using the unlimited board was pretty new. Doing more knee paddling, kind of figuring that out. Just the training. It's all like what you put into it is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
The first time I didn't get as much training in for sure.
Right. So, but race day itself, after you'd already crossed the channel once, 2 years prior, this year, did you have a different kind of strategy or game plan or just even mental space?
Yeah, it still felt like a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I mean, I had a game plan. I kind of wanted to see, I plotted out a line with Al Ramadan.
Yeah.
Because he's done all the America's Cup sailboat racing.
Oh, across there?
Not in that channel, but around the world. He's got it so dialed in. So we plotted this line, and my kind of game plan was to see if I could stick with the top paddlers and then fall back on hitting that line that kind of just went with the currents and the winds a little bit.
Wow.
And then just right off the island started getting smoked by the top guys.
Really?
They were moving fast. And then fell into that line, and we kind of nailed the game plan, which was cool.
So you stuck to it. That's good.
We stuck to it.
Yeah.
And I think in hindsight, it seems like just run line, just the straightest line possible is probably the way to go.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, gives you confidence when you're feeling down, when you have the plan and you're sticking to it.
It's true, man.
Well. Yeah.
I know. It's funny. It's like the solo time I did it, I had no idea. And like somebody said, "Oh, just do this," and my boat guy's like, "Well, we should do this." I'm like, "Yeah, fine, whatever," because you're just paddling. And my buddy on the boat had no idea. We're just like, whatever. And then, but that uncertainty gets in your head.
Yeah.
And there's enough like shit going on in your head. You don't need the uncertainty of your line, Yeah. Then when we did again the team with Josh Ryan, we had a line, but even with the team, you're like, okay, well, yeah, I have a lot more time to think and kind of strategize and check with the boat, look at your line, look at the GPS. But you're still we just still kind of got off course and like let ourselves get off course. And then once you realize we're off course, we're like, fuck.
You're just struggling to get back.
Man, it's just it's classic, man. So this year, how about your support group? So Kyla came out with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, your girlfriend, swimming bottles out in the water. How cool.
So cool. Yeah. So that was a highlight. Definitely doing that whole trip with her. Yeah, that's the best. When you're kind of struggling and tired and you still have like some, 10 miles left or something, just to be able to see,
Yeah, a big smile or
big
something
smile,
to
good
give
vibes.
you a boost.
And then I've kind of had, developed this cool relationship with a lady named Jo Ambrosi, and she's like a long time paddler. I think she's got like the unlimited record for Catalina, and I got linked up with her like 4 years ago, and she's been doing the Catalinas with me.
Oh, that's
and
cool,
then
man.
she didn't make it out this year there, but one of her best friends is Shannon Delaney.
Yep.
Who does the Molokai.
Yeah.
So she came out to help out there, and then did the crossing with Kyle and I.
Cool.
And that was awesome because she's, as soon as you start slowing down, she's yelling at me.
She's on you.
She's on me. And so it was special doing with her. And then our crew, guy named Wade Nakai and his girlfriend Shelly, and they were super badass.
Rad.
They're awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. What about like the mental part? Like, I ask everybody this, and folks listening, they're like, "Hey, here we go again." But I am so fascinated because I love to hear the mental challenges that we all have faced in the Kaiwi Channel. And what were yours, and when would you say? Hey, so first, what part of the race did you start getting a little bit like, if at all? Maybe you just blew through it and you're happy and cool the whole time.
Yeah.
But what this year? When did you hit like a mental wall? And what was kind of going on in your head, you know?
The start of the race, when you put that much into something with an expectation of like a certain result, I want to do really well. And just to get right off the island, the morning's just getting going and you're waxed. People are taking off stuff. First, you're like, okay, like hit the reset button.
So right off the bat, you're like, dude, these guys are smoking me already. We're like 10 minutes in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was like, okay, that was an interesting start. And then we paddled, it was fun, so the conditions were good. And you start getting some bump, and you kind of, for the first, I don't know how many miles before it starts getting uncomfortable, it's pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
You're down in paddling.
Yeah, you're enjoying it, the whole experience. And then all of a sudden,
kind of space out and ride some waves. Yeah. And then as soon as it started getting more mixed up, probably like 10 miles off the island, maybe 12, I stopped being able to catch the bump on my stomach. And then when I was getting to my knees, I was starting to get dizzy.
Oh, wow, really?
A little bit. I mean, I still felt strong, but just to be up on the knees and that kind of slosh, just felt a little dizzy, but not... not too bad of a way, but just
distracting.
So I was mostly prone and just getting passed by people.
Right.
And not catching anything. Like you sprint, and it just rolls under you. And that's like, you're not
disheartening.
It's not, disheartening. It's like getting kicked while you're down. So you gotta I just tell myself I could do it all day.
Yeah.
Well, because realistically you probably could.
Yeah.
And it's the only way to stay kind of positive.
That's right.
If you get upset with this or that, you're just I just tell myself I could put the head down, don't even look at the destination. I could just go. I could go all day.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's true, that's how I try and spin it. And you do eventually get to the finish line.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with that actually philosophy. Like it's one of the neat things. I mean, the things you take away from events like that where you push yourself, like mentally and physically, you might not know what you came away with until years later. One of the things with me in that race, in 2011, a long time ago, was just like, I just realized that like my mind is so much weaker than my body. Your body's a machine. Just give it stuff.
Yeah.
Give it what it needs, and it'll just keep going. It's your mind that thinks, and that was when I finished that thing, and I felt good. I was like, oh, it's so awesome. I look back, I'm like, God, I'm such a mental midget. I thought it'd be the other way around. Like, am I in shape? Do I do have cardio and on my shoulders? And dude, your body's just, it's like a fucking car. Put gas in it, turn it on.
Totally.
And go. It'll go for a long freaking time. Keep putting stuff in it, But
so true.
Even now today, like that horrific downwinder we did in Davenport. Yeah. South wind, it was horrific, and I just thought, you know what, this sucks, but just keep paddling. You're gonna make it. And just other like mountain bike rides or swims in the ocean, like dude, you're gonna make it. Just keep going. You'll get there.
You always make it.
Yeah. There's you get to take away things like that from those gnarly events you put yourself through.
Yeah, my sister did Molokai a few years before I did, and she got to. She trained with Jeff Denholm, and she actually got to have like Chris Lieto. Have you heard of Chris? He's like an Ironman.
No.
Do her boat stuff.
Oh wow!
So she got all this cool insights, and what she came up with was basically like the top people are like a little crazy.
Yeah.
And it's that mental strength of just when you're hurting real bad, they just get even more pumped.
That's right. Yeah. It fires them up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I don't know. Seems right. People who are winning these things are just something else.
Yeah, they're something else, man. Yeah. No, I'm fascinated by the whole mental aspect of endurance sports. Really, it's cool. All right, so as we mentioned, like summers are a big thing for you. So are the winters. But one other thing about summer too, like here, back in Santa Cruz, kind of normal life, like you're lifeguarding, you're down the beach, Santa Cruz City. So how was that this summer? I mean, like any big rescues, any weird challenges? I mean, we're at not thumping waves and the stretch of beach you're working, but maybe sometimes there are,
Yeah, definitely. There are every year like moments. Lifeguarding's been super fun. This is my third year doing it, so I'm kind of new still.
Yeah.
it's pretty preventative. We're just kind of like making sure people have a good time.
Yeah.
Come down to the beach.
Yeah.
And there's always moments, like every year, there's those, like you said, rescue where someone really does kind of save someone's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a cool aspect of the job.
Yeah. Just popped in my head, the Sacramento wetsuit.
The what? Oh, like
coined by
blue jeans and a t-shirt?
our good friend Steiny.
Is that a Steiny?
Yeah. So this blue jeans and a t-shirt, jumping in the water.
Yeah.
So when you're working the tower, I'm just curious, and this is totally a sidebar and probably not even interesting to anybody else, but are you heat seeking in on those guys or gals who are like wearing jeans and like about to go out for a swim?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah, it's like you're getting paid to people watch if you're up in the tower. You're like, and sometimes it's slow. You're counting boats and
right.
You're kind of looking for any kind of a red flag, and then that's cool. If something seems off,
yeah,
you just run down and say hi and give them some good advice. And then hopefully that makes their day better.
Yeah. All right, so now summertime. Let's switch over to the other season that you love, winter. Let's talk about this past winter. 2018, 2019, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you've been surfing Mavericks for a long time, but just ease us in by how was this winter?
There were some good days. We had that week in December that was pretty awesome. I think we surfed it like every day for like 4 or 5 days in a row. It wasn't. I think there weren't any waves in like after December. Really, right? Just like maybe a couple swells like late season.
Yep.
Which has happened before, which is a little, it's a little bit of a letdown. But overall, pretty stoked. We had some good days. That one day in December was huge, and you don't always get to surf days like that. So.
Right. So is that the day you guys were out on the ski that you were telling me about Conroy's wave?
Yeah.
The big one you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome. We always try and get out there early, so it was met up with Tyler and Aloe, and we went out on the ski, and we were hanging with another guy, Tom, who's awesome. So we had 2 skis in Willam Banks, so we had 2 skis between the 5 of us. But the deal was Tyler and Tom were going to tow first thing, and they just jumped on, and it didn't look like there was much communication. They just went out and did this big U-turn into the first wave, and it was a good call because it got so crowded.
Yeah.
It was chaotic, so they had this moment of there being one other team out. But Aloe and I couldn't really tell when they came in how big the wave was, and our bearings were all off. So he's just starts coming down, and it almost didn't look that big at first, and then it started breaking, like crumbling.
Yeah.
We're like, huh.
In a place where it
weird.
doesn't really ever break.
Yeah, it doesn't really usually the wave's not usually crumbling, and then it grew, and we were just it was almost comical. It was so crazy looking, and he got to the bottom, and we couldn't really tell, but I think it must have been he just had this so much speed, and the thing just landed right on top of him.
Dude,
it was nuts.
And seeing that, it
was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, seeing, your personal friend, brother-in-law, Tyler Conroy, who we were talking about earlier, what goes through your mind? I mean, a guy you've surfed with out there for a long time. Seeing him take his donuts, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But seeing something, you're like, whoa, that wave is different. Different in, not a good way.
It's a big wave.
It's a big wave. And seeing him get just smoked, were you is there a period where you're just on pins and needles waiting for him to pop up, or you're like, dude, he's good, I've seen him get drilled 4,000 times? What goes through your mind?
We were kind of initially
almost
laughing, nervous laughter, and then once he fell, we were
trying
to turn the ski on, should we go? Neither of us had that much experience. That was a good day to get good week to get some experience doing water safety stuff. But Al and I were looking at each other should we turn this thing on and go get him? And Tom picked him up right away.
Yeah, so you're
he popped up. So there was 20 seconds of that nervous pins and needles.
Yeah. So towing in general, I mean, so that day was what was it? Started with towing and then it turned into paddle on that big day? Or was it all towing?
Yeah, it started with towing in the morning, and then once people paddled out, they kind of just stopped, and the same guys that were towing and just grabbed grab the
and paddled in.
paddled out.
Yeah. So did you get a couple that day? Like anything memorable, like versus the years you've had up there and waves and swells? Anything special?
No, I think anything you catch that day.
Yeah.
I mean, and not that day in general, but on a day like that, if you get a wave, you should be happy. So I didn't get anything super special, but I got a wave that I was happy with, and it's hard to catch a wave on days like that. There's a lot of good surfers. Waves are super huge.
Yeah.
So just getting one feels pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh man, I bet. So then that's 2018-19, and the contest, Mavericks contest, got called off.
Yeah.
You've been basically an invitee to that for a while now.
Yeah.
How many you've been
crazy.
like on the list or something? Like I was for how many years now?
I think this is the third.
Yeah.
Of being if it ran, I would have gotten to do it.
Right.
And then this is the third, and never ran. Looks like it's canceled for next year. Did you see that?
I saw that. Yeah.
So it would be, it's kind of a bummer. It would have been cool to do that.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Especially growing up in Santa Cruz, the amount of people that we grew up, surfing the lane with who were doing it. It's kind of like a, historical part of
for sure.
this area for surfing.
Super historical. Yeah.
So just to do it once would be pretty cool.
Yeah. So to get to the point where, there's a lot of guys who are surfing it and girls who are ripping, and to get to the point where you're invited to be a contestant, next to names like Jamie Mitchell's and other guys who are all over the world doing crazy stuff. How did you get that point? Maybe we just start from scratch and start your progression into big waves to the point where this guy said, Pat, you need to be in the contest with us.
Oh, I don't know. I honestly was kind of surprised.
Really?
I was like, I don't know. I was a little surprised and nervous. I mean, it hasn't happened, but I was like, I don't know if I can surf like these guys or next to these guys, But it took a while. I think it took me 4 years of putting serious effort in, of not catching or making a wave out there.
Really?
Yeah, I first went out when I was 17 with my sister, my friend Kyle Alrek, and we had a pretty memorable day. That was cool, but we all got worked.
Yeah.
And then that was the start of 4 years of kind of paddling out and totally wussing out and just paddling in with tail between the legs, super bummed, or trying and just kind of getting smoked. Right. Every once in a while it was kind of one or the other, so it took a while. This is going to be year 11 for me, so it was a super slow progression of just until feeling like I could kind of knew where to sit and which waves were good and which waves were probably not a good call.
Right. Yeah. So just the learning curve took a while, which is probably the right way to do it, talking to guys like Tyler and Zach and others. So let's say sort of 4 years of just kind of learning.
Yeah.
At some point then you kind of got it you started figuring it out.
Yeah.
Getting more comfortable, getting waves. You're like, whoa, I had a session with 5 waves, and you had a session with 10 waves, and you're out there for 4 hours, and and you start basically evolving greater and greater, So you did that, and then that kind of put you on a different level, because at some point you were you're getting a lot of waves and getting good waves to a point where people were taking notice and inviting you to be in a contest. So take us from the point of hey, I think I can go out here now and get some waves, to a few years later where you're actually being invited. What was that like? Was it just you're going bigger, going harder? How did that all come to be?
Well, it's always been fun, even when even when it's just such a challenge. The first few years you couldn't even do it. Such a challenge is still fun, but once you start getting the confidence to get waves, it starts getting really fun.
Yeah.
So it kind of just snowballs, and you see it with a lot of people. Once they kind of click.
Yeah.
I think I saw that with Aloe this year. There's a few days where it kind of clicked.
You saw it.
And he was just wave after wave after wave.
That's
it's just
cool.
the funnest thing ever. Yeah. So I guess that's the best way to describe it. It's just kind of starts getting fun. You start getting more and more comfortable, and then guys come. The locals are really good, and then you get the people coming from all over the world that are really good, and just committed to getting good waves. So if you're out there for a few hours on a good day, you'll end up kind of getting egged into psyching yourself up to get get a big one, and then eventually you do.
Yeah. So during that transition of just learning your evolution, like a lot of times there's like influences in the water that help you. Guys who know it older than you, the older crew who are either heckling you enough to get you to go for it or just like, helping you out, So were there influences, good or bad, in the water during those times, maybe positive ones, who like kind of helped mentor you-ish, in the water?
Yeah, I think my sister for sure was probably like the biggest. Like we're pretty close in age, but she's always been more mature, and she's like leagues ahead of me surfing when we were younger. And she had probably more people coming to her with kind of mentoring and tips and stuff, and so she was always just feeding me all that stuff. And and we pretty much surfed, at least out, we surfed most days together, but out there we pretty much go up together every time. And just kind of learn the ropes. We're only 18 months apart, so that's been pretty fun.
That's pretty amazingly special. Like, I don't know, I'm not like a surf like lore or a storing guy, but like a brother sister combo, big waves, that might be unique for you guys, being that duo with brother sister and big waves. That's pretty rad.
Yeah, it's been cool. I mean, I would know I've been following my sister around forever, so I don't really know any different. But
first session with her at Mavericks, take us through that. What was it like? How'd it come down?
Cool. That was me, and she had moved out, and she was actually living with Duke Brower, like sleeping on his couch and homeschooling and just being able to surf every day. So I was surfing a lot with my buddy from Scotts Valley, Kyle Ulrich. And we were trying to surf Middle Peak whenever it was big, and Swift Street, and all the waves around town, and we were kind of getting curious about Mavericks, and the Gerhardts had taken Savannah out the year before, so she kind of knew how to get out there, and just the simple stuff, even just where to park, and all that.
Exactly. The basics,
stuff that we didn't know anything,
right?
So we sold her on it, and then jammed up there. I think we missed school, or it was a weekend or something.
So you told her, "Hey, I want to go," and she's like, "No."
We both did.
You're hammering her, and she's like, "Fine, you come with me."
I don't think it was that. I don't remember that well. It wasn't too hard to do. She was pretty game. Okay. Yeah. So we go up real early, and we're just gonna sit on the bluff and watch, and then maybe go out. That was kind of what we told ourselves. So we get there, and it's Mike Dillery, Zach, and Jake Wormhout. First guys there, and we're starting walking. What are you guys doing? We're walking on the trail. They're like, no, look out, just suit up. And we're just torn, like, we really don't want to go suit up. But
no way.
Those guys are, heroes, and they're telling us to do something, so we're like, we just kind of like awkwardly walked back and like got our stuff on and walked down, and we're like, we've got these like thin, narrow 8.6s, and my sister's got this like kind of funky 9.0, and we get on the beach, and they just start stretching.
Yeah.
And I think I got uncomfortable. I was like, guys, we just got to paddle out. We just
got to go.
Quit thinking. Felt like we were going to vomit or something. We were pretty clueless. And followed them out. We kind of just saw where they went and kind of followed them out around Mushroom Rock and got out there pretty easy. It was a really good day, actually. It was glassy, kind of mid-size Mavericks. And the crowd wasn't too bad early. We watched them and others get a bunch of great waves, and looked kind of approachable, and we just kind of slowly inched over. I think Savannah and I both got worked catching a wave. Kyle like got conside or something, like we kind of yard sailed it, but like all made it, and we were pretty stoked. We got back to the car kind of not really believing that we just went out and surfed, and then that was kind of the start of not really very successful surfing that way for a while.
But you're ready to go do it again.
But yeah, we're stoked.
Yeah, you weren't like turned off and like, we're out of here, I'm not coming back.
No, yeah, we were stoked.
Yeah, that's cool. Rad. So like I'm curious, like have you ever, I'm sure you have, like your parents' perspective. Here parents are, the two kids are gonna go surf this like legitimately gnarly place where, it's not safe in general. Like, did you have a conversation with your folks at all? Like, either like, hey, I'm going up with Savannah tomorrow, and they're like, no, don't do it. Or afterwards, like, hey, I went up with Savannah and surfed Mavs, and they're like, what? Like, how was your parents' reaction? Because both their kids in the water at Mavericks, like, that's a unique thing.
I think they were pretty cool. They're super supportive. They're super cool.
Oh,
my
rad.
mom like took us up there a few times, and her, They, we didn't grow up as like a surfing family. My mom learned the same time we did.
Yeah.
So I think just a little bit of ignorance was probably
Right.
good.
Like, oh, cool, you're going to go surfing.
And most of the time it goes well,
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
But I can see that, like going up with Aloe the first few times, you could see his mom's a little nervous.
Right. Who knows what that actually means up there.
My mom might have been a little more nervous than she let on to.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, so you basically went up and your introduction to Mavs was your sister, and then there's other people around you like the Gerhards, etc. And then over time, like you established yourself and your own knowledge and everything. And how cool is it? Like I don't know, just like in general to have started with your sister, and then you still to this day. I mean, she's might not be surfing this winter. She probably will. She's having a baby soon with Tyler and everything.
Yeah.
But just the kind of being in big wave situation, pretty gnarly, hairy stuff. I bet sometimes. Like, how did that kind of pull you guys together as like a brother and sister? Like,
yeah, Savannah was she's just gnarly. We've all seen her get like great waves, but also just get super worked. And she's one of those like mentally, like we were talking about, like mentally super tough.
Yeah,
people.
Pops up and like ready to do it again.
Ready to do yeah. So I mean, I was kind of like always following her around, and I'd be worried for her, but she kind of seemed like nothing could go wrong. She's had some. Like that story, Tyler, I was listening to Tyler's podcast where she had like a 3-wave hold down.
Spit out like north.
And she came out and like didn't really talk to us about it.
Yeah.
Like it rattled her, but she like finished the session.
Dude.
And just surfed with us and didn't make it, anything of it.
Just like, hey.
So yeah, it's cool. It was, for the most part, it's just all good.
Yeah. Dude.
She's I mean, tons of stories.
There's so many. You're like, it's just what we do. Yeah. No, that's sick, man. That's super rad.
Yeah.
So then, in general, I mean, like you've been out there, you said for 11 years, and there was like this. Again, me not being like this Mavericks expert, but a lot of towing, like a lot of towing for a while, right? And then it kind of renaissanced back into paddling more, and then these big gigantic days pop up, and the tow boards come out, and it's kind of cool. And you've been through all of that. So, like, you yourself, with your own progression, like, were you ever, like, super toe, like, or were you always kind of balancing both, or were you just more paddling, or, like, over the years, like, I don't know, how'd that go for you?
We kind of missed the toe stuff. I think the first year I went out was, like, 2008. Yeah, we kind of missed the toe stuff, actually. If anything,
really?
It kind of feels like it's popping up again. Yeah, because I can't remember there really being kind of all toe days until that day this last year when people kind of came out of the woodworks thinking it was going to be too, they were saying it was going to be, there's crazy numbers going around how big it was going to be.
Right.
Tow guys came out of the woodworks and then they did all morning, but that was kind of new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So towing was never like a big, gigantic like focus for you?
I've never done it.
Oh. Even that day you didn't tow?
No. Yeah, sitting on the ski with Aloe, and I was like, "Do you want to wave?" He's like, not really. I didn't really. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Like, I
don't know. It's
just
pretty.
Never turned you on, kind of.
It looks really cool. I mean, I think it just almost seems too easy to get into like a scary spot.
You're like, ooh, like Tyler, how did I end up here?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Like, that was badass, but it's,
right.
Yeah. I don't know. It hasn't clicked for me yet, but maybe one of these days.
What about the left?
It's cool. I mean, guys make it look easy.
Have you gone?
And then, I tried. I've always kind of tried to just get little ones and feel it out.
Yeah.
It's tough. On a 10-foot board, it just feels awkward. And the bottom turning backside feels awkward. We never go left in Santa Cruz.
Yeah,
right?
I know. It's like the only way to practice is like middle peak, which, can be kind of steep-ish, but like not the same level of steepness.
So I tell myself I'm going to try every year, and then it's usually a pass by the time you're out there.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. But it's pretty crazy what guys were surfing it, like making it look easy this year.
Really?
Maybe not easy, but
the guys were going for it.
They were surfing it very successfully. Yeah, they were getting barreled and getting a high wave count, and it was pretty cool to see.
Wow.
Makes you think it's a good idea. So we'll see.
Looks pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember, it's like an analogy of like, there was some really weird, shitty, like surf contest at Ocean Beach, and I remember it was like a Kelly Slater level. Like Kelly Slater came to surf at Ocean Beach, but it was like windy shit slop. Like you wouldn't even look at it. Like you could probably make the waves look good. I'd be like, dude, I'm not even going out. And you see him surfing it, you're like, dude, it looks so killer out there.
Pretty good.
And these guys are going out and they're like, couldn't even touch it because you got to have like a certain caliber. I can imagine the left and Mavericks. Like you see somebody who's at that level doing it and succeeding, you're like, dude, you can do that. Like sometimes you think you could do things because other people can't.
Yeah, you watch a video, it's a little different when you get there. It's pretty. It moves pretty quick. Yeah.
So how about Porto? So Mavericks, you've been there for 11 years. You're still strong there. You were invited to the contest this year, got canceled, 2018-19 didn't run. Who knows what's going to happen next year? But where else? I mean, other big wave spots like Porto, which I've never been to, never seen. I've just heard stories and tales of like heaviness. Like you've been there a few times with your sister too, right? And Tyler, I think.
Yeah, that was a cool. It's been years now. Maybe like my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
Would kind of just save up all year and just try and go for like 6 weeks, or it costs about the same as striking a swell to just go hang out for like a month or two. And my sister was hanging out for like, I think one time she did like 3 or 4 months or something.
Whoa.
Like she was just hanging out there.
Wow.
So I was kind of trying to do the same thing, but usually couldn't really string together. We're eating beans and rice.
Right. You're like, dude, I'm over this.
I'm already too skinny. We're getting weird looking down there. And, But I mean, for just like, on any given day, it's, we weren't at that time period, no one wore leashes. So you're just getting in incredible shape and really good at just navigating. Like,
why was nobody wearing leashes?
It was like sort of like a false logic safety thing.
Really?
Like you fall and your board's less likely to hit you.
Oh.
Because a leash just kind of keeps it close.
Right.
But then if you do get hit by your board, then you're not connected to anything. So it's a little more dangerous to not have one probably.
Right.
But that being just the way things were, you were getting up early, and if you got caught inside, you're going for a long swim, and you were just kind of like by default and kind of in tune and good shape, and trying to level surfing there's high, so it's kind of like a special few years doing that. I haven't been back, but I'd love to. I always encourage like younger kids just to go do that because you're guaranteed to get super worked.
Yeah.
And you're guaranteed to like get an opportunity to get like a big barrel, whether you make it or not. You're gonna get like a cool moment,
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as like a 1 hour session down there, because you might paddle out and lose your board, and then an hour later get it and be like, without a leash,
You could. I'm sure people have. Sometimes if you get a wave that's a good enough wave, you might just go back to the beach and get some coffee. But, it can take all morning to get like one good one. It's you just surf at somewhere like that. You get up and kind of in the dark, and then it blows out at like 10 or 11.
Right.
So
and you're done.
You're done after that.
Yep. So one other thing too, and that I'm curious about. So we're talking about like big wave surfing, and there's another aspect of your surfing, which is just shortboarding, not big waves. And you have a lot of success doing that. You won the Scholastic Surf League in California, which is a legit thing. And, it's interesting. I had a conversation with, again, back to Connor Royal, because I really love to watch him surf. I haven't seen him surf the lane for a long time, but riding big waves well and riding small waves well are like two different sports almost. Very different in a lot of ways. You're still surfing, but it's a totally different dynamic, and everything. But, I mean, for you to win this California Scholastic Surf League is a pretty big thing, And so talk about that, like, early on in your high school years of shortboarding before you went into, like, more focused on the big wave stuff.
I just like surfing in general. Yeah, like, the big wave stuff's more like proximity. If we didn't if it wasn't 45 minutes away, might not have been, be a thing, because it almost is kind of a bummer every time you leave Santa Cruz to go surf somewhere like Mavericks. You're missing out on the best days down here. Not complaining.
Right, but
just we got into, we grew up in Scotts Valley, and we got into surfing around kind of junior high, and we had a surf league up there, so we actually had quite a few like pretty good surfers, and so that was fun. It was like a team vibe. Scotts Valley was definitely the wild card versus like Santa Cruz and SoCal and Aptos and like Half Moon Bay as a team. And that was cool. So we'd go down every year to do that contest in the Oceanside, and it was just a fun trip. Pile everyone in the van and just cruising with your friends for the weekend. And all the schools all had the same hotel, so it was just like a fun annual trip. And it was by no means like the best surfers in California doing it, but it was still like a lot of heats.
Yeah, still
and
legit.
Then to kind of end like doing that scholastic thing the 4 years with that, it was like a cool like win for our crew kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause we were definitely the outliers as like an inland team.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and how was that?
It was fun. Yeah.
No, that's cool. 'Cause, I mean, how was that? Because like I'm trying to date when you were like, let's say 15-ish. What year was that?
2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here you are, like a Scotts Valley kid.
Yeah.
It's for folks listening. Scotts Valley, it's part of Santa Cruz, just like Capitola is part of Santa Cruz. Yeah, but it just happens to be 5 minutes inland. And there's this perception of the Santa Cruz being like the west side and the east side.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, including Scotts Valley, But for you as a young guy, even with your sister too, or whatever, coming to surfing, like trying to, you gotta surf. You gotta be in the lineup. You gotta be part of it, and not being like a kid who's grown up on either east side or west side, or went to the middle schools or the high, all that stuff. Like, was it kind of eggy for you, or was it fine, or like how did that go?
Like being younger, it probably felt more intimidating, or I don't know. I mean, those kind of years too were like definitely more intimidating.
Yeah,
am I right? Like
they were
early 2000s.
Yeah, it was much more.
It was a little different
than it is today. Yeah.
So like being at that age, it felt like super intimidating. It definitely felt like kind of an outsider, but at the same time, like there's you're just making friends and kind of like. I think I was probably still, like in high school, I was probably still like 6'3". I probably looked like I was like just an awkward like 23-year-old or something.
Totally. So people would stay away because you're pretty big.
No, but I was like 150 pounds or something, so I was just kind of like, I was just like an awkward kid. Yeah. But no, it was good. I mean, it was a little tough, but you kind of just make friends, get older, get through it. Yeah.
But when did you start surfing? How old were you?
Probably like, I don't know, what's like 5th grade? Is that like
11-ish?
Yeah, like kind of started.
Okay.
So Duke Brower opened up Momentum Surf Shop.
That's right.
Momentum. Well, it's kind of more skate shop.
Yeah.
And he had snow stuff and surf stuff.
Right.
And we kind of just from like, we got a skate park in Scotts Valley, like hanging around there. We got to know them. They took us surfing, and my mom and my sisters and I started surfing around the same time. And then Savannah really took off with it, or in junior high.
Yeah.
And then I kind of, at a certain point, kind of stopped playing sports and started kind of getting more into it too. And so like high school.
Dude, that's classic.
By the time we could drive, of course, we got a little more into it. Before that, it was like trying to get, our mom was awesome.
Rides.
Driving us to the beach and ride shares and stuff. But.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. And like, again, for folks listening, Duke Brower, who's been on the podcast, who we've done like the 24-hour paddle with, just a legend in the water and a great guy in the community. That's classic. I didn't put those two things together. His shop in Scotts Valley, Momentum, and then you guys. That's classic.
Yeah, wow. That was cool. That was cool learning to surf with Duke, and like I said, Savannah ended up living with Duke for a little bit, and just he showed us all, pretty much got us started surfing and everything. It's pretty cool.
Dude, that's way cool. So today, now, here we are. 11 years at Mavs. You've been invited to be in the Mavericks contest, which hasn't yet run for 3 years. Hopefully it'll happen and you'll have a jersey on and doing it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
What else, man? Look, you're doing Catalina Classic. You're doing Molokai. Winter's coming soon. What do you... Any other big goals, or kind of what's next, the next couple of years? Anything awesome out there?
I don't know. The summers was pretty... It was pretty packed with all the paddling and training and stuff, so kind of just looking forward to surfing. And I kind of stopped surfing this summer, so whether it's 2 foot lane or we get big days at Mavericks or wherever else.
Right.
So no real specific goals. Just trying to keep it going and get a lot of days in the water.
But a guy who can shortboard, who loves that, but loves the big stuff.
Yeah.
Let's say a 12 foot at 15 seconds swell comes in or something.
Yeah.
And the sand's perfect at Mitchell's, you name it, wherever, and you know it's going to be just perfect 6-foot barrels, like, and you also know the Mav's going to be perfect, glassy, the right tides, the right wind, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what do you default to? Like, is it always the big stuff? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm a sucker. I'll go for the big stuff.
Yeah, just because it's more like fleeting, kind of. It's harder to find.
You get to surf the small stuff, like, you know, even if it's not, like you said, like a perfect day somewhere.
Yeah,
you get to surf high waves almost every day.
Yeah, you can
so
find it.
And you get to surf the big waves like once, 10 times a year maybe.
Yeah.
So just kind of get it while you can, and then enjoy the, the south swells and the smaller days at home all the, the rest of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely a sucker and end up driving up there and missing the good days. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
One other thing too, I actually forgot to ask you about, and you mentioned our mutual friend Alessandro Sliver.
Yeah.
And great family, Johnny, Christina. You spent like a lot. There's an element of you, kind of geared towards mentorship. Like you took Al under your wing and you brought him out to Mavs and you believed in him. You helped him out. You just kind of mentored him in the water. And now, like you said, you saw it click. He's fledged the nest. He's left the nest, kind of. But what was that like? Why did you do that? Where did that come from, and from you to kind of grab this kid who you saw this potential in and kind of mentor him? It took a lot of time and energy out of you, but where did that kind of come from?
I don't really remember how the first time we went surfing together, which is funny. It wasn't that long ago, but yeah, I think just hanging out with you guys and going paddling with John a lot, and then just like seeing Aloe at the lane, and he's just always so stoked to surf.
Yeah, frothy.
He's always got all these ideas and wants to surf all these different waves. I think it kind of just came about pretty naturally, and it didn't really feel like mentor or anything. He just was stoked to surf. I was like, I'm down, let's go.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, we kind of, there's not that many people when it's like big and junky and weird. I want to go try and find a wave.
Yeah.
I mean, and then get there and still want to go out.
Right.
And so yeah, we're just buddies.
Yeah.
I was like I'm like 10 years older than him. He's like one of my best friends.
Right. That's
so
cool.
It didn't really feel like that always. And I mean, it was good just having for a while there was every Saturday, Sunday morning, just someone who's pumped.
Yeah, ready to go with a
make
smile.
Sure you get up, even if I stayed up a little too late.
Yeah.
The night before, you're like, oh, I gotta get up and get peel yourself out of bed, get up there and go, and that's funny now. I'm getting a little older and I'll be up early making a smoothie and coffee and go pick him up, and I'm like, did you get enough sleep last night?
Totally.
It's like the table's turning over.
Yeah. That's rad, though. I'm a huge fan, and again, folks listening, it's kind of a broken record, but I'm such a huge fan of being able to give back. In that case, it's you found this guy who interested in it, and you gave him a shot at it, and brought him up. Don't do this, do this, and just all that kind of stuff, and gently guiding him. I mean, I think it's just rad, to give an opportunity to somebody who might not otherwise have that.
Yeah, I think he would. Cool. You can tell when you talk to him, he's been stoked on it for a while, and I think he'd be. Yeah. He didn't. I mean, definitely probably got him out there a little early, which is cool.
Yeah, he would have ended up out there sooner or later. Yeah.
Sooner or later. Yeah. Would have been getting waves with him. So that's been fun. And then this year he definitely clicked. As soon as we started going out there a few years ago, he was getting waves and
sick
and going for it. But this year he was just sitting super deep and getting big waves, and you can tell him and Luca Padua are a little competitive, but they're good buddies.
Yeah, that's killer.
That's pretty cool to see. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. No, that's so cool. And final thing on that, you have a nephew coming pretty soon.
Yeah.
You're gonna be an uncle. Yeah.
So stoked.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's due 11/11, November 11th. So I was hanging with Savannah this morning.
That's rad.
And couldn't be happier. Savannah and Tyler are they're obviously, it's my sister and brother-in-law, but super close with them. So
right, that's cool, man.
It'll be all the best parts about having a kid without the bad parts.
So
Uncle Pat will pick him up and give him candy.
And drip off all jacked up. That's killer.
Yeah, we can't wait. Our whole family, so pumped.
That's sick, dude. Oh man, well, congrats on that. That's a cool, rad, sick thing, and.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's too many fun things to do, huh?
Yeah, way too many. Yeah. Well, thanks for today, Pat, for being here. taking your time, sharing your stories and everything. And good luck this coming winter. Hopefully it's going to be a sick one.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you.
Dude, be safe and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, let's get some surfing.
Yeah, rad. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to another podcast episode. Can't do it without you. And so thrilled to have you here supporting myself and the podcast and all the guests continually. Always appreciate a positive rating on your podcast app, whether it be Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, you name it. Just helps grow the podcast and spread awareness. So thanks for that. And then any social media mentions, always super appreciative. And if you know somebody who you think would be great to have on the podcast to share about their ocean life, please hit me up. I'd love to chat with them. Or if you think you'd like to, let me know. Email is josh@thisoceanlife.tv. All right. Thanks, guys.